Welcome back, Manny. We've been on a little bit of a delay for multiple reasons. My boy Matty will leave the company's name out because we have no sponsors here at the Joe and Matty podcast. But Matty's got his first job this week, working nights. Proud of you. I'm extremely proud of you for taking on a job at your age and dealing with the things. How'd it go?
No, it's been really fun. I've been ready
People,
making like meeting a lot of nice people. Everyone there's nice and
perfect.
it's
That's the most important thing about a job is the people you work with.
yeah, everyone's happy and there's no one
Yeah,
no
excuse
no
me
one
if I talk a little funny. I'm missing two teeth from this week. It was a little dental fun this week, and got a rod drilled into my jaw, so I may sound a little funny this week. But we're going to be off and running, right, Maddie? A lot of
Mhm.
interesting things. We may switch up our schedule a little based on Maddie's work schedule, but we're going to be off and running as we go. Let's dive right into it. You want to start with the two big topics, of course: hockey and baseball. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the Yankees. I mean, it's basically safe to say that the Riders have saved maybe their season with with these two games against Philly and picking up those 2 out of 3 against Boston. But guys like Greg Allen's been phenomenal. I don't care when the
Yeah.
Yankees are 100% healthy, he deserves to be in the lineup. He's a
Well,
running threat, and I mean, but really they
I think
haven't.
you just hit the point right there. Now, like I'm always skeptical. Guys come up to major leagues, they get hot for a week, and then people figure them out. They understand their weaknesses, and reality catches up. There's a reason why 28-year-olds who are hitting 220 in the triple. There's reasons why they're where they
Yeah,
are, but there is opportunities. Remember, I don't know if you remember the pitcher Short who went like 9-0, and there's these things that happen that get hot. But
yeah,
I think the point that you nailed was how big of a difference did speed make? The Yankees for the last couple of years, especially this year, all
horrible.
sluggers, could barely run because they're scared they're going to get hurt. Um,
Yeah,
I guess you could consider Gardner a runner, but he's not like running like he
he's getting
used to.
older. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he's not stealing bases. He's not putting pressure on the pitchers. And in at least in this very small sample size, we've seen these guys putting pressure. And I can't believe they lost the guy that they just traded, who had tremendous speed from Arizona to a torn ACL. But you could see when these guys are on base, they're putting pressure. They're making people nervous about bunting, and it has had a huge impact on getting those extra runs. You saw Stanton sneak an RBI single because the second baseman shifted towards second base, and
yeah.
those kind of things happen. They break up shifts, getting runners on instead of just slugging for the home run. Another big thing, Torres. What do you think? He's back. Holy
Well,
Christmas!
out of these 2 series of the All Star break, I made a couple good notes in point that seeing that Stanton, I feel like has had these past 2 games against Philadelphia, he's started hitting again, and then Torres has now been very consistent.
He looks back to his old swing, crushing the ball.
Yeah,
But Stanton, back to him. They're going to throw him back in the outfield. I think they're going
that's
to put
good
him in
for
the
him.
outfield for a week. If they tank the series against the Rays, and was it the Red Sox
Red
next,
Sox
right?
four
Red
four
Sox,
against the Red
Rays,
Sox
then
starting tonight.
Miami, right?
Yeah, big
So,
series.
so he's going to play against the Red Sox, probably play against the Rays, and then the Yankees are going to decide: are we buyers or are we sellers? I think he should be in the out. You spent $300 million. I don't want a
He
three
needs
hundred
to be in the
million dollar
outfield.
deal. Put him in the outfield. If he gets hurt, then whatever. Get your insurance policy back.
I think the big thing is now, like, because we've had all these young guys come. I'm really thinking right now when you get Urshela and Judge back that you're gonna see Florio and I want to see Gittins down. I don't like him in the MLB; he's not that good. But I want to see Lamar
I
and
don't
Greg
think he
Allen
is
stay up. I want to see those two stay up. Greg Allen, there's no reason to bring him down until he plays
till
better.
till reality catches up with him. I agree. He's deserved a chance to keep playing. I'm not a Gittins guy either. I don't think
I
you
don't.
need
I think
another
he's
big
overrated.
slugger at first base. I'd rather have someone defensively minded if you had to do
Yeah.
it. Um, the other thing that's going to affect the outfield is at this Phillies series, scouts are checking out from the Texas Rangers have been checking out the minor league Yankees. The rumor is they're looking for at shortstop Volpe. who's the Yankees, I believe, he's one of their top 5 prospects. And then they have the second base, I think his name is Duran, who's a top 15 prospect for the Yankees. Do you like the idea of getting another hot bat in Joey Gallo? They need outfield. There's no
What
doubt.
I
But he
think
does not fit the mold of what's winning right now.
I think the difference with Gallo is he's a power hitter, but he's not as like well, he's not fast, but like he's like a Judge, not really not same skill level, but it's so easy for guy. You see how easy it is for Odor, the small guy, just crushing the ball to right field seats. I don't see what the problem getting Gallo is. He's had a great season, and if he brings it to the Yankees, then that's great. I think it'll just make him better.
I
But
am, I think there was last podcast, I was like, sell, sell, sell. But I think this is a chance to just break this team up a little. I think that
yeah,
I'm not opposed to trading some of the starters to have a different balance of a team. We saw the Rays go to the World Series last year by getting guys from base A to B, moving them, whether it's small ball. They weren't big home run hitters. The Yankees just fall in love with home run hitters because they have a short part. Then they get one pitcher who just mows them over and they can't hit. So you need guys who could play
yeah.
small ball. They need a better balance on their team. So I wouldn't mind letting go of a slugger. And I know you'll hate this. I do not condone it, trading Judge, but there are a lot of people in New York saying trade Judge now before you have to pay him because you can't just keep paying big sluggers to lose games for you.
Well, they don't have to. I mean, like that's the problem though. He is really the fans love him. He's the heart and soul of that team.
Oh,
Everyone,
it would be brutal.
it leaves a void. You look at him not in the lineup, it leaves a void. Even though they're winning games, there's a void. And
I agree.
I think you get rid of
Voit.
I think you get rid of Voit, and that's.
I like Voit, but he's, I think, a more tradable player. I agree. Like they're just too. They got too many of the same guy.
Well, I think the problem is and also more good points off this series. As they've gone away from slugging. As you look now, Gardner's lineup, and he's actually getting hits. Like he had a huge homer the other day in the first game of the Philly series.
Yeah.
He had a 2-out single that led to him scoring with his speed on an RBI double to tie the game. That was huge. All with 2 outs. They picked up 2 runs on 3 straight hits. A Torres
Which they
homer.
haven't done all year long. The 2-out hitting is just forget about it. It's useless.
Like we haven't seen this from Gardner all year. So now he's heating up. And then now Odor is starting to pick up hits. So
I wouldn't say Odor's picking up. Odor's more. He has a
just
flair. He has a flair for the clutch hit. A lot of his home runs have come in games where you really needed the home run. Last night's pitching, it was devastating, and I'll admit to you that like after the Phillies tied at 5-5 and had a guy on third, I went to bed. I checked my phone every so often until the game was over, but I had lost faith that they could actually win one of these games. But I think they need a better balance, a little, some speed mixed in, speed, defense, and the sluggers. You just can't have a whole lineup of sluggers. And I think your idea of moving Voit is pretty good. The problem with moving him now is, do people think he's healthy because he's barely played this year, but he was the home run winner last year, and albeit a shortened season. Joey Gallo, you bring him in, he's going to play left field, and then you're going to have Judge, him, and Gallo, all power hitters. Sanchez is a guy who's turning it on, but still he's not.
I don't care what Cole asked.
I agree.
It's your catch.
It's not. Early in the year,
is like a pitcher's out in the lineup. Every once in a while, he'll run into a home run.
Well, I think he ran into all his home runs in the first 2 weeks in the season, and now that's about it. I agree with you, but you can't have all these sluggers who just strike out. You got to have guys who put the ball in play. They need more LeMahieu. They need more guys with speed to diversify so that you could beat different guys. When you go up against those A1 starters, like the Yankees in the 90s used to, every count they were driving, and Judge does a great job of this, so I don't want him to fall into, but getting to 3 and 2 counts, so you get these guys out in the 6th innings, and you get to the bullpen. Now, speaking of the bullpen,
Ugh,
The Yankees bullpen, what is going on? They went from
what?
being unstoppable to Loizaga. I guess he was throwing a bullpen session today, so he should be coming back from COVID. But I don't know, and maybe you could tell me this. I don't know if COVID really affected him. Like, I don't know if he was vaccinated and he just needs to be in the protocol, or if it's something where he
I don't
got
know why
sick.
they're not releasing that information. I would like to
That's
know.
personal health care information you don't release. There's no reason, because why would you release it to your basically competitors? But we've seen a lot of players. We saw it on the football field, like the New York Giants last year. Their rising tackle had COVID, and we thought he came back and he sucked, but no one told us that he really had COVID, and he felt weak and he felt exhausted, and you didn't know. Like, so
Zibanejad went through that.
yeah,
That was definitely
Zibanejad
COVID.
basically missed the first half of the season, and he was
Yeah.
taking abuse. He didn't say that he had it, and I give him credit for that. But you don't know what the effect is. Now Britton's back. He hasn't looked himself. The speed of it, velocity of his pitch is way down, but he's missed a lot of time, so we'll see. I've
Will
lost all faith
depend.
in Chapman. I would trade Chapman is if you could go get somebody else.
I'm actually on the opposing side of that, and I'll tell you why. Because
Tell me.
I think Andrew McCutcheon's home run the other day off Aroldis Chapman fixed Aroldis Chapman. Because after that, and I was right. I've been saying this all along. He is terrible when he cannot find triple digits down in the strike zone. After McCutcheon went deep, it was with one out. He threw 6 straight pitches, all strikes, all 100 miles or above. Three pitch strikeouts to each of the next guys. He was good, yet he's still walking guys, but I think he's just not
Well,
getting lit up
do you think his
anymore.
control problems are related to the sticky stuff? Because
I
you
don't
see
really
him on the
know.
mound, and this is, I don't know if this is inappropriate to say, but you see him on the mound. He's sweating like crazy. The guy's like, so I gotta imagine that his hands are sweaty and the grip of the ball is a little harder. You're trying to throw a slider, it's not working, but your location. I mean, since they've removed the sticky stuff, you've seen some crazy pitches going over, like Bull Durham going over guys' heads and like stuff
Yeah,
in the dirt. So I think MLB needs to correct that, and you know, yes, pitchers took it too far, but I think they need to bring back some sort of tackiness to deal with the weather and to deal
yeah.
with player safety. Guys, I'm sure
Well,
they don't want to get drilled. I've seen a lot of guys getting drilled.
I'm on the upswing with Chapman because then he pitched again yesterday. He's still walking guys. That could be due to sticky stuff, but he's not giving up like just
I just
exit
don't
below
have the
through the roof
confidence
hits. Like
with
he's not giving up. I think he's starting to get back to himself. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You already said it. Britton sucks. He's terrible. I've
I don't
never
think
liked him.
he's.
He's
I
never been
oh,
clutch. He can't get
oh
the inning that we need.
I totally disagree with you. I think been better than Chapman in the past, because he doesn't give up the big home run. When his throws that sinker that just dives down, guys just
Yeah,
hit
but he
fevo.
walks he
Well,
loads the bases. So
he's
like
coming off of missing the entire season. Like, give him more than one game to
I'm
be
not
back.
for the Oriole pitchers. Him or O'Day have not been good for the
No,
Yankees.
O'Day's terrible, and he's always been terrible. No
Well, he's
offense,
so
O'Day.
slow. Like if you're gonna
It's
throw a
it's
75-mile-per-hour slider, someone's gonna be able to pick it up. It's not
Yeah,
nasty. Like
you got to have some level of, you either got to know how to pitch. Some of my favorite pitchers, Mike Messina, who would just make up pitches on the way. David Cohn, who would go sidearm when he couldn't throw his fastball, just making stuff up. Or you had
Nestor Cortez going through those
I
weird
love those
windups.
guys. My all-time favorite pitcher. Do you have any idea who it is? He is a
Goose
Yankee.
Gossage.
Nope. El Duque.
Oh
Best,
yeah, you've told me that
most
before. Yeah.
entertaining guy all of time. Throw like a Ephus curveball, then he'd throw a
Oh, it's
heater up in
nasty.
your face, then it'd be a changeup. Like, he worked his way and could figure his way out through a lineup based on their swings. So when he could do stuff on bad days, and there's a lot of pitchers who's like, when they don't have their stuff, it's trouble. I mean, Chad Green's
Yeah.
one of those guys who Chad Green, he's on, he's on. When he's off, pretty quick he's off. That's
I
what
mean,
scares me about that new rule last night when they took Britton out after he walks two guys, and they bring in, I forget who they brought in, but it's like, oh my God, this guy's got no shot, and now he's got to face three batters, and they're
who
gonna
was
just
it?
give. It's a young kid. I want to say Knight, but that's the wrong name. But regardless, like that 3-batter rule really scares you because
Oh, it
I got to
is.
be a manager when you see that guy walk out there and you're like, oh, he can't even throw over a strike. This is a death sentence coming.
Yeah. Well, he's
But
really like that's what's so impressive about like Cole and DeGrom can throw 90-mile-per-hour sliders. So if you're
DeGrom's the
touching,
best pitcher in Major League Baseball.
if you yeah. I mean, but
Not even.
when Cole's on the sticky stuff, he's dominant.
Yeah, I
Well,
still
we
think
don't
DeGrom's
know.
better. I swear.
No, he
Like
definitely is.
Cole is,
But
I think, a scarier pitcher for some reason. He has like an intimidation. A
Moxie.
DeGrom for a guy who's thrown the most 100-mile-an-hour plus pitches in Major League, not even close, just doesn't have that like mean, nasty, scary effect. Remember, like Randy Johnson, you were scared of that guy. Like there's guys who just look.
Well, that's what Aroldis Chapman used to be. When
Yeah,
I'm telling
it's
you, when
just
he's
he has that
throwing,
fear.
when he threw the other night, the first game against the Phillies, when he was throwing 103-mile-per-hour sinkers on the black, hitters are scared and
Yeah.
strikes guys out. When he's hitting, that's why I was like, why is he throwing 96-mile-per-hour four-seamers? It's because he can't control. He doesn't know a clue where it's going when he throws at
Yeah,
101.
which
Like,
which is terrible, but scary also if you're a hitter.
yeah, well,
But
but
you're right. You're right. It's an interesting thing.
then I
I
have a question for you though. Or do you think now Cole is back because he's brought that moxie to his past couple of starts? He's brought, and I don't think he's on the sticky
the
stuff
one
anymore.
nothing the 1-0 Saturday night game was the best thing I've ever seen, and I love it. I think Cole is smart enough and talented enough that he'll work around the sticky
Yeah,
stuff, still be one of the best pitchers in Major League. He just
I
might
agree.
not be as like lights out
Dominant.
strikeout dominant. It might be a different style. Like when you can't get balls to break and bite as much, he might not get as many strikeouts, but I think he'll still be a top pitcher in the major leagues. The ERA just might not represent the same thing.
Well, he really,
I
what
feel
I've
like
noticed is,
DeGrom should go out and shave a mohawk, tattoo his forehead, and people will be terrified of him, and he'll be the most dominant guy out there.
well, I feel
I
like
mean, he's going to
with
win 3 Cy
Cole,
Youngs in a row, provided this injury is not too bad.
that's killing the Mets. I tell you, they
Eh,
should be so much better than they are. It's kind of embarrassing, but like,
they're collapsing, right? The collapse is coming.
I mean, but
They're gonna make a
their
big.
division not any better. I mean, you look at you could safe to say the Phillies blew the two games against the Yankees. Like the
Phillies
Yankees,
pitching stinks. I
like
mean, you really see bad general managers who just spend all their money on hitting. Like Bryce Harper, is that guy worth 300 million? No,
it's not as good as he was on the
he's not
Nationals.
the best
Tell
guy
you
on the
that.
team. Realmuto is throwing out.
Hoskins is better than him. I like Hoskins. He comes through.
Yeah, but like Realmuto, they spent all that money. He's only throwing out 15% of runners, and that's a killer. Yankees,
Yeah.
that cost them the game. Like running. So yeah, the hitting is the fun part, the exciting part. It puts fans in the seats. Doesn't necessarily win you games. And if the Rays don't show teams that, like that's what they do. They get the right
Yeah.
mix of talent. You need the starting pitching for sure. That's where the Phillies stink. Braves are just decimated with injuries. I don't care about the Braves, but I always thought that they would turn around and compete with the Mets. The Mets, with their new billion-dollar owner, desperately want to compete with the Yankees, and I think they will make a big move at the trade deadline.
They're gonna win the division. They're definitely gonna win the division. There's no chance they
And
don't win it.
I think they'll pick up one of the Cubs players as the Cubs dump everybody.
That's gonna be Cubs are gonna go through another 100 years of losing. It's gonna be funny.
Well, brings up like two interesting things. Like one, going to a Cubs game was one of the funnest things ever with friends, and Chicago's an awesome city, and I could root for the Cubs. Like, not that I'm a Cubs fan, but how great does Theo Epstein look? Like he walks into the Red Sox, they never win. He wins them a World Series. He goes to the Cubs, who haven't won even longer, wins them a World Series. Like there's, sports talk radio and people theorizing as Theo Epstein, he's actually been working with the head of Major League Baseball to, talk about how the game is losing fans because we're doing all the statistical analysis, we're shifting and making all these strange rules, and everything's based on math, and it's taking away from the fans. And who knows better, because that's how he builds lineup. But there is rumors if the Yankees went in the toilet that they would give him a call, which would be.
Well, I think like because they're throwing on a lineup tonight and they're playing the
You
Red
have the
Sox.
lineup?
Yeah, and the pitching matchup is Jordan Montgomery, who I don't really have that
Oh,
much
your
faith in,
favorite.
and Tanner Huck. But they're facing Tanner Huck or Hauk, who hasn't been.
Yeah, nothing.
But the Yankees lineup is LeMahieu, Gardner, Stanton, Odor, Torres, Brantley, Allen, Florial, and Wade. Tyler Wade is showing that he deserves to be in the MLB. I don't know why. The
I
guy is
don't.
every time
I
he's on the base path, he's first to third.
Yeah,
He's
but
making
I feel
plays in
like
the
Tyler
infield.
Wade should be a bench guy who comes in late inning defense and speed. I don't
He
trust his
shouldn't
bat.
be in AAA. He should be with the Yankees.
Florio's a huge prospect, but I think he's hit 224. So I don't really know what's
Well, I
going.
don't want to see for the Yankees. I mean, once they get Judge and Urshela back, you're going to see Brantley go. Rob
Yeah,
Brantley's going to go down. Gittins is going down, and it's either Lamar or Florial that's going down. Allen is definitely staying up. So I don't know. Do you
I
send
honestly think
Lamar
the
down?
Yankees would love to see Florial catch lightning in a bottle, and maybe he could be a huge trade piece because he was one of their top prospects for a
I
while. And
love him. His swing, perfect, left-handed
well,
swing.
well, now he's got to do it. So let's do some little predictions here. Let me put you on. The next 7 games are the big ones, right? 4 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Rays.
I would say, yeah, but I would
This is
say
the
the next
this is
four.
this is the season. I In my mind, you've got to win 5 of those 7 for them not to maybe think about imploding the season. Now they did make a big move in the wild card. I think they're 2 back in the loss column. So, the Yankees have the talent. They could easily catch 2 games. That I'm not worried about that at all. But one, what are your predictions for the 2 series? Any thoughts on who they may trade for? Do you think the Gallo trade happens, or do you think they end up being sellers?
I don't think really they're gonna end up being sellers. I think they're gonna trade some guys, but they still could easily make the playoffs. I mean, they're 3.5 back in the first wild card spot. So like, I mean, that's
You're right.
nothing. Out of the division, the Red Sox will implode. They definitely will. They're down. I mean, they look at their lineup. Like, how are you? It's just gonna happen. I don't know when. The Rays are gonna be fine, but I don't even think it's the next 7. I think it's against the Red Sox, and you
How far
have to
back
win
are
3
they
or
in their
4.
division right now?
Uh, There's 7 out of first. So really, you got to win 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox. That's what I see, and then 2 out of 3 against the Rays. So 5-2, yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
I think that puts people in a confidence, and I think they've been when I'm thinking
I
back.
mean, but look at the
When's the
pitching
last
matchup.
time they made the big trade deadline deal? It's been a lot of seasons where they haven't made the big move. Like I think I
Mhm.
also think, hey, it is New York. The Mets are talking, making a big deal. I think the Yankees are going to. I got it for the first time in his career. Well, not his career because it is New York, but for the first time in a long time, I think that there is a lot of pressure on Cashman to change the face of this team and put something out there. The same way the pressure came to the Rangers, which we'll get to next. They got
Well,
to
you
win.
look at in 2017, they picked up Todd Frazier, but Todd Frazier was
That's
big
not a
because
that's not a big name deal. Like
he was a cheerleader through the playoffs, and he was a big part in how they
no,
moved
I'm
through the
talking you're
playoffs.
bringing in an all-star. Like Joey Gallo would qualify as he's crushing the ball, but you're bringing in a
I
big name.
remember.
Yeah. I think you
I
need a
mean,
bullpen piece unless you think Britton's going to be back. And
I
I,
don't the bullpens. I mean, just a lot of them are off their game. When Loizaga and Chapman are on their game, and Green is doing his thing, and Britton's like, okay, they're unstoppable
I
from the
agree.
6th inning on. That's all you need to happen. You just need Chapman to be going where he's going to get 10 saves in a row. He's not going to give up
I just
anything.
don't trust him. I just don't trust him.
But think more times than not, he's come through for the Yankees when they put him on. More times
Historic,
than not,
Historically, yes.
especially in the playoffs, he has not
Lately,
choked in the
lately, I
playoffs.
don't.
Besides last year.
I think we're maybe not you, but I'm spoiled still from Rivera, where he was just so clutch. It was unbelievable that you just felt like you go to
Yeah,
bed and
but
be like,
he exploded a couple of times, like in the World Series in
oh, that was
2001.
the one game that everyone oh, that was the worst. Arizona. Who wants to lose to Arizona? The team that wears purple uniforms and dressed like snakes. It's
I
embarrassing. Come
mean,
on.
Chapman has blown in the playoffs, but Altuve they cheated, so you're off the
Oh
hook with that one.
God,
They lost
please
last
let
year.
the Astros implode.
They're not
Or
good.
actually,
They are not good.
I want the Yankees to play the Astros in the playoffs and knock them out.
They will. The Astros,
Uh,
their pitching, the Astros pitching is not good. I'm not afraid of Zach Greinke. He's terrible. Throws
oh,
65
Zach,
mile per
yeah,
hour curveballs.
Zach Greinke gets so choked up in the playoffs. He does not have the clutch gene. That's
I
why he
am
didn't come to New York.
And it for the Astros, they'll be like, "Well, our offense is great." Well, I'm for the rest of my life going to say, "Well, you're cheating," because no one expect them to continue cheating because they're already caught. So it'd be the perfect time for them to keep cheating. Like,
Well,
I mean,
I mean,
why not? Why not? Like,
well, I can't believe they hired a manager back that was involved in the cheating. But you know,
who?
Boston, Cora was
Oh,
involved with
and,
it, cheating
coach of the
twice.
year, coach of the year.
Yeah, he was with the
So
Astros, and then he brought it to Boston, and then Boston basically sold the manager down the river and was like, "Oh, just stand here
we'll
with
just
this kid."
wait.
Yeah, we'll just
They're
stand. We'll wait
terrible.
a year to bring him back. Like something is not right. Either that, or he's a tremendous manager, and he cheated. But anyway,
Mm,
as time tricks on, let's move
Just
to the
touch
other
on the
big news.
Rangers.
Let's talk Rangers. As I check Twitter, there are no
Oh,
updates
it's so
because
good.
all day, all last night, I was told that Jack Eichel would be a Ranger. The latest news from Larry
Mm,
Brooks that I saw, and you tell me if you've seen anything different, is that the Rangers still haven't even seen the medical reports on Eichel, which means a deal can't be imminent. I mean, granted, they might be telling Larry Brooks the wrong thing, but you can't be trading for a guy with $50 million left on his contract and not know what the health of his neck is. He could, this could be a disaster. Um, I'll turn it over to you first for their first deal. What do you think of bringing in the guy from Tampa? He's a two-time Cup winner, a big defensive player. Some people say they paid
Huge.
a little too much from him, but
No.
free agency you end up paying a little more. The contract's kind of loaded where it's all happens in the middle of his life cycle, and then it's cheaper down the end. This is the kind of guy they need, someone who's won,
Grit. Yeah.
experience. Yeah,
The
you
guy's a
got it.
big guy. I mean, he deserves the money because you look at what that third line did to basically almost won Tampa Bay a cup. Him on that third line, they were unstoppable against Carolina in the second round. They were great in the playoffs, and a big part of it was him. He was clutch, and they need a big guy. And I think he's gonna stay. He's gonna be one of the forwards that will stand up, and he's not gonna be pushed around by guys like Wilson. He's big. He's gritty, and it's a perfect addition. I don't really care. 6 years, 3.6 million. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, he's
I don't.
expecting like at least 3 million. So
Yeah, I don't think it hurts you in any way whatsoever. The one thing that disappointed me with the draft for the Kraken, which was very beautiful in the
yeah.
water. I don't know if you saw it on the barge. It was all cool. They did a good job. I think they drafted a terrible team compared to
Oh,
what they could.
I don't think they're good at. I think they're gonna be
They're basically a
terrible.
minor league team. I don't know what they're doing. And you look back at, Vegas, when
Yeah,
they made the deal, they made 10 deals of, forcing
yeah,
teams to keep players by giving them all this assets. They made no
yeah.
deal. Everyone said that Ron Francis, the GM of the Krakens, was asking for way too much for anything. But I was really excited when I thought the Rangers were going to get Giordano in the deal for possibly
Uh,
Strome. I mean,
that would have been nice.
I
That
mean,
would
you're
have been
talking
nice.
about, yes, he's older player, but he's the
Yeah,
2018-19 Norris Trophy winner. He's a captain. He's an experienced, solid defenseman. That would have been a home run, I thought, as a deal, because Strome's going to go anyway. Now I hear the latest rumor is Strome to Ottawa, so that plus a draft pick, so that the Rangers could move into the top 10. They then take that top 10 pick, send it with Bushnevich.
yeah.
I think Mac Jones and one other prospect. I forget. It's been different for depending who you read for Eichel. You want Eichel or
Yeah.
you want Eichel?
I want Eichel, and I think Strome's a big part of that. And really, like going back to what you said about the Seattle, their whole
Kraken.
team. They're not. Their best player is Yanni Gord, and their best goalie is Vitek Vanacek, who's a backup goalie for the Washington Capitals. He's not bad, but
They should have
I
taken
mean,
Price. They got totally. They
it's
I bet
they drafted terrible because Now, one, I don't like that they took Blackwell because he's good, and I was
I
excited for
mean,
the future
Blackwell's
with him.
making 700 cents. I think the Rangers thought they were going to trade Blackwell. According to my hockey knowledge is limited to Larry Brooks in the Post, pretty much. But they thought that they might get Blackwell back in a trade for Strome and Giordano. But I guess Ron Francis was asking for the world for all these things. Maybe it still happens, but I don't think that deal's ever going to happen. When the guy flew from Calgary to Seattle, got out on a barge into New Jersey and was presented in front of the team, it'd be pretty weird to trade him the next day, but weirder things have happened. I hope it
Well,
happens.
Seattle is just. I 100% agree with you. I mean, they looked like a joke. They just traded Tyler Pitlick to Calgary for a 4th-round pick in like the 22 draft. Like bogus deals. They have no team. Like they have their first line wouldn't be able to compete with any first line on any team.
Yeah,
And you
I
look
think
at
the comparison of what Vegas did and what they did, it's almost embarrassing.
I hate the expansion draft, and if I was drafted, I'd completely like boycott it and like say I'm not playing for the team because
You
I
don't get that choice. That's not the world we live in. You want to get paid millions of dollars to play a sport, you got to do what they do.
I hate
Giordano's
these
the guy
deals.
where you play your entire career with Calgary. You're at the end of your career and you get traded to an expansion team.
Oh, it's terrible. I would
That hurts.
absolutely hate it. I would be like, well, you know what, Calgary. No,
Well,
I mean,
Calgary tried to keep him. They said they tried to make a deal with them to not take him, and they wanted like a
yeah,
first and a third to keep him. And they're like, "Get the hell out of here!"
they need to. I mean, they have a good. The only thing good about that team is they have a good blue line. That's it.
They got an awesome arena and a cool jersey. I'll give them that. But
Yeah,
goodbye.
they have no forwards, no centers. Yanni Gord is their best forward. He's not bad, but
But
he's the
when you look at
best second line.
I don't know where their salary cap lined up and where they ended
Oh,
up.
they have
Like they could have grabbed so many players. Like I would have grabbed Price, even if I didn't want him. The
trading.
Montreal.
Yeah.
I love Montreal. Put all those rumors out there, like, oh, he's probably not going to play next year. He's got knee injuries, hip injuries. Today he went to a New York doctor. Oh, he's probably not going to miss any time. It's like such a smokescreen by them. And Price, I didn't know this, but he met his wife somewhere, and she's from Washington, so he might have wanted to go there. But you gotta.
He would have needed a little new taste. He's been with Montreal. I think this was kind of like a, what do you want to call it? I think they got lucky this year, and I think it's safe
Yeah,
to say that
I don't think.
they're not going to be back to the Stanley Cup final for a decent while. They're not. You look at their lineup up and down. It was sad, but like I already knew looking at their lineup versus Tampa, I was like, there's
Yeah.
no chance. Like there's no chance. Like they just don't have your star player is like, I mean,
Well,
Nick
let's.
Suzuki, like
Nah.
who?
Well, you know what? I have no
Tyler
sympathy for.
Toffoli, like
I have no sympathy for expansion teams. You should put in your time. All those other expansion teams that came into the league, the Floridas and all those time,
they
they have,
waited.
yeah, they have done nothing to get. They have paid their dues. I'm surprised they didn't draft Yager after looking at. I saw someone Photoshop that on Twitter where
Oh,
like,
it couldn't. It wouldn't like the guy wouldn't be like scoring the same level, but it doesn't hurt for a team like that that has no chance of winning the cup to bring in a
a
deep
little
veteran like
PR,
that.
a little PR. Speaking of PR, on this day, I think way back in my time was when Gretzky got traded to the Rangers. Oh, that was a great day. I will
How
never
exciting
forget
for you!
going to the Garden and getting those tickets from our beloved Uncle Vinny and sitting there. And this is the day I knew the Ranger fans changed when a guy in front of me goes, "Oh, who's that? I feel like I should know number 99." I'm like, oh my God, why is this person allowed in the arena? If
It's
you don't know
Mark
Wayne
Messier.
Gretzky, it's like, come on, please.
Well, that makes me think what my biggest like either trade or signing was, like how excited I was the most. I mean, with
The biggest trade. That's a good question. Biggest
Artemi
trade.
Panarin I knew that was big, but I didn't know it was gonna be this big. Like I knew he
I
was.
didn't.
I
I
knew he
was
was a
too
good
sour.
player.
I thought he would come to New York and be a bust.
Well, the one thing that turned me on about him, like that, I got really excited about was seeing that he took the Rangers offer over the Islanders, and that's that.
Why
I
wouldn't you?
mean, Truba, I was like, oh, he'll help. I mean, nothing with the Ranger signings haven't like. I knew I was like, oh, Panarin will be good. I didn't think he was be this good. Like I really, to be honest with you, I didn't
I
think he was
agree
going
with
to be
you.
at this
I didn't
level
think it either. Messier
at
was a
all.
great. Messier is my first and only. I
Yeah, I
love him
mean,
the
if
best. LT in football, I know he's done some terrible things, and it's
I'll
terrible. But
I'll
I'll
probably
never
say
me remembering LT when he won Rookie of the Year, did the 99-yard interception return. I remember walking home. You know where Campbell School was? Do you remember that, Metuchen, or are you too young? Walking home from
no.
that, being like, LT is the greatest player of all time. Like for me, that was the best, and no one matched that till Messier came, and just a guy who's clutch in fights.
Well, I've been thinking the most like excited or like how like bouncing off the walls I was probably it wouldn't be Cole. When they signed Cole, I was happy because I saw like I it brought like joy to my eyes seeing him hold up like the Yankees poster.
Yeah.
Like that's cool when you see a guy like that. I was excited, but I was by far the most excited when they signed Giancarlo Stanton. I looked right over at Mikey. I was like, there's no way they do not win the World Series. Sure, they're gonna win 130 games.
For
Stanton's
me
gonna
in
hit
baseball,
70 homers. Judge is
I
gonna hit
was
50. Like
Mark Teixeira was a huge signing for me.
oh really?
I remember being at Nana and Pop Pop's, and we were going to the Walmart, down there when nothing else was where they live, and being in
Yeah.
the parking lot, be like, I can't believe they got Mark Teixeira. And it was the same thing that you said with Stan. There's no way they don't win now. They're just loaded at
You
it.
were actually right that year.
They were
I mean,
loaded at every position. It was like just a ridiculous amount of riches.
well,
And
how
that's
big was the CC Sabathia signing?
that was
That
it.
was big.
He was a
That
trade.
was right before. No, he signed with them right before 2009.
I mean, CC Sabathia is one of my favorite Yankees of all time. I still
Oh,
think El Duque might be my favorite. El Duque and Cone,
I love
Paul O'Neill
Sabathia. I respect him so much more after watching that documentary.
documentary.
Yeah, said that wrong. After watching that about him, I respected him so much more. Like what he's been through and like how hard he actually did have it. Like
Yeah,
you look at sports players and you think like I
everything's
think of
easy.
them less human. Like I think of them less
Of
like
course.
not really less human. And then looking at his story, like how hard it was for him. Like
What do I tell
even
you all the time when you're like giving up on these guys? Oh, he stinks one week in. It's like, you don't know. Daniel Jones, you don't know.
yeah, but
Big year from Daniel Jones, buddy. We
I
got we got 3 minutes left. Give me some final thoughts. Any team, any thought. What do you want? Um, g- predictions,
uh
thoughts.
I love Mika Zibanejad, and they're going to sign him to a 6-year, $10 million deal.
10 million a
Last one.
year, huh? That's a big deal. My final thoughts. Daniel Jones lights it up this year, and you eat
He better.
crow.
He better. He has to. He has to.
Well, if he
That
doesn't, they'll be drafting another quarterback. But speaking of weird thing with the Giants, they're talking about trading Jabril Peppers because they have so many
that's
safeties. That
so
would
dumb. That's
I
so
don't.
dumb.
He's a good rah-rah guy, but I don't know if he's the best player on that in the
He,
safeties.
I
Someone
mean,
gives you something really good for him,
okay, that's different. But like,
because he's going to be a free agent, they're not going to be able to pay him what he wants. He's going to ask for a ton of money. He's going to ask for.
what other safety's better than him on that team though?
They have Xavier McKinney from Alabama.
He's definitely not better than Peppers yet.
You don't know. Well, we haven't seen him. He's only played a couple games. He missed 10 games last year with a broken foot. Then
What
you
is
have
Logan
Logan.
Ryan?
Logan
Still a
Ryan switched to
cornerback?
safety. 3 years, $30 million. He was a cornerback his whole career. He switched to safety.
He's good.
Works very intelligent and works well with Patrick Graham, who's a smart thinker. Then you have Julian Love, who could play safety. They got a lot of guys.
But Peppers is still like the biggest.
He's the heart and soul. Like
most
he brings the energy, but he's not the same cover guy. We'll see. We'll see. You never know what
If
happens.
you look at, I love their defensive like scenario for next year. I think Bradbury's really good. I think he's overrated, but I think he's really good.
Bradbury's top 10 corner in the league. I think.
Yeah, he's not top 5.
I think Adoree Jackson's going to be a top 15 quarter in the league. I think their Giants safeties, as a team, as a cohesive unit, could be the best unit in the NFL by the end because of the way Graham moves them around. Linebackers, not explosive, solid. Defensive line, they have a couple. They don't have the pass rushers, but they got a couple guys. They just need one of these young kids to hit. Offense, it's all
Yeah.
about the offensive line. They got a Pro Bowl running back. They got Pro Bowl wide receiver. They have talent up the yin yang. They just need to win. But
Well, I think a last remark that you'll find funny is Clemson got announced as they'll as their first game of the year this coming season is in Charlotte against Georgia, and they got College Game Day coming to them for an
well,
opening
they
week.
need to play SEC teams during the year to like. I
Well,
guess
that's a
they,
big game for them. If they win
yeah,
that,
I
then
guess they don't need to do it anymore because the playoffs, they'll probably make it anyway. But did you see the other news in college football that Oklahoma and Texas wants to move to the SEC?
no.
Now, why I think that's right for them, best for those
Mm,
two schools, I think it's bad for college football. You're just going to put all the powerhouses in two divisions, Big Ten, SEC. I don't
well, I
like it.
think the problem is I feel like what college football has to look at is they're kind of like there's literally like no chance with it's funny for the Pac-12 or
Well, if they expand the playoffs to multiple teams, then they'll have a chance because they'll play an easier schedule. But I agree. Part of being a good team, this is what always bothered me about college football. LSU could play Alabama, and you get, even if you lose to them, whoever loses that game, you get better by playing good competition. But if you play too many good teams and you lose two games, your season was over. Now you
well,
have a
that's yeah.
chance. You have a chance if you're a smaller school now to be like your Boise State and be like, all right, I'm going to play a Pac-12 team. I'm going to play an SEC team. I still may make the playoffs, and I could improve my team by upping the competition. If you play bad competition over the year, you walk into the playoffs against one of these heavyweights, you're going to get just physically mauled. Like
Well,
it is.
I could tell you like for a last remark because I know we gotta end it, but I could tell you right now, you're seeing teams like Clemson saying, "Oh, we don't like the teams up top saying we don't like the 12 team scenario because it's going to be
Because
harder
they
for
own the
them."
market.
And two, I don't like it either. I think they should have done 8 teams. 12 is too much. You're going to have teams that aren't good in it because and who are just
There's
going to be
12 good teams. I like giving people a shot. Isn't it excited? Like you're not at college level yet, and you've been spoiled by the fact that Mikey went to Clemson, but your mother went to Boston College, your dad went to West Virginia.
they'll
Wouldn't
have
it be
chances now.
exciting if once every 10 years one of those teams gets to sneak in as the 12th team, and you like a bowl game is not interesting at all. But if you
Oh,
get
it's
in
terrible.
if
Like a
you're the
Rose
12th
Bowl. Ugh.
seed and okay, you get to play Clemson or you get to play Ohio State or Alabama, and you're probably at your doors off, you still got that chance. You got that chance to make a
Well, with
big name.
eight teams, you could 8 teams is a little
Yeah, but there's over a
slow.
hundred colleges. Like in the NFL, more teams make the playoffs, and there's only 32 teams. So
Well, that's what Trevor Lawrence said with the game day. He posted on Instagram, like on his story. He's like, yeah, we couldn't have game day on opening day the past 3 years because like now he's not going to be there for it. But that's pretty funny.
well,
But
he's got no worries. But with that, we'll
yeah,
close it out. I know you got baseball practice. Um, all the best. Congratulations on the job. We'll try to get
hmm
together again, maybe on Monday night, and hopefully we'll be
sounds
talking
good.
a
Yeah,
lot of Ranger news and some happy Yankee news. So I love you, buddy. Talk to
yeah.
you soon.
All right. See you guys
Bye.
soon.